Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm going to show you my reworked bank. A couple of weeks ago I just had enough. I wanted to go ahead and actually organize my bank. And there's actually a Reddit that is specifically for helping people organize their bank or just showing off your bank. It's really useful. It's our BankTabs. I went ahead and got a ton of inspiration from here and honestly shamelessly copied some of it. So for anyone who's looking to actually have an organized bank or just rework their bank, this Reddit is definitely extremely useful. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my bank now after having spent maybe 3 or 4 hours organizing everything. So when you're organizing your bank, you kind of need to pick whether you want it to look nice or be efficient for where all the items are. They kind of can go hand in hand, but for the most part, you're either going to have to sacrifice efficiency for making certain tabs look better. And that is kind of what I ended up doing. I wanted my bank to look nice over having every item in the most efficient and useful spot possible. My reasoning for that is that I will get used to pretty much any bank setup eventually, and it'll become still second nature and good to use. So in the end of the day, I might as well just have it look good. Alright, so let's start off. So with tab number 1, obviously I want my most used items to be in the top here. Cash in the corner, of course. All the runes I've decided to put here. Elemental runes on the left, kind of the combat runes in the middle, and nature runes, and kind of the more utility runes at the side here. I've decided to put Rings of Dueling, Amulet of Glories, any 8-charge teleportation item that I use pretty frequently I decided to put up here. I do have a separate tab to kind of collect the garbage after, so I can go ahead and decant it later. Now because I do farm runs pretty frequently, I decided to put that actually on the front page. I have pretty much everything here that I need to do a farm run. I have my Graceful set here. I have the seeds I'm currently farming, which are Renar seeds. Magic Secateurs, Rake, just stuff, and the teleports that I want here, as well as Ultra Compost. After having put my farm run on my main page, I'm really starting to like it because it's so convenient, because that's something you really do a lot, and you may even just log in just to do that, and it's really nice to have it right there. It really speeds things up. Next up I have a bunch of potions, all 4 doses. I do have another tab that catches all the 3, 2, and 1 dose. For here I decided to put the combat potions here on the left, prayer potions, super combat, and ranging potions. Next up we have run energy potions essentially. We got staminas, super energies, and regular energies. Next up we have the kind of brew tab. We have Ceridemon brew, super restores, and Samarak brew. And last up we have kind of anti-poisons, anti-venoms, etc. Now definitely a lot of these potions I put here just because I guess it looks nice to have them together. I really don't use a lot of these. All of these you don't really need to be on your front page, but I just decided to put them there. Next up we have a different selection of food. We have sharks, monkfish, lobsters, as well as caramboans. Manta rays is because I wanted it to look even. I never eat manta rays. I don't do any hardcore PBM or anything. And tuna. So that's kind of the core stuff I wanted there. At the bottom I still have a couple things I'm not sure if I want to leave here. Just kind of useful quest items that you might use quite a lot, etc. Like the looting bag, we have cooking gauntlets, salve amulet, we have holy wrench, bone crusher, Ardoon cloak 1, and silver sickle. Now like I don't use all of these like on a daily basis or anything, but it's really convenient to have. The things are actually useful at the front. Plus we have the elemental staves here and some other stacks of currency. I originally had them at the top, but I don't know, you don't really need these at all ever. And yeah, that's my main tab. I would kind of like to trim it down a bit. I'm thinking maybe here, maybe just cut it off and put these items somewhere else. Alright, my next tab is my Pbm tab, or my gear tab. So we start off here with Slayer. We have the Slayer helmet with a cannon and some cannonballs. I tried to organize the gear vertically based on the type it is. So up here I have the magic gear I use the most frequently. Don't look at those. Next up we have the melee gear I use the most frequently. And we have ranging gear over here. So we tried to line up everything, but not everything's perfect. But we have like top, body, bottoms, boots, ring, cape, and then kind of etc. stuff. Over here we have Zenite jewelry. I have to go buy some of it back pretty soon, but we should be able to fill that out pretty soon here. Next up we have kind of weapons here. We got Shrine of the Swamp, blowpipe, and some other weapons I use pretty frequently, as well as Barrow's gloves, which are kind of used pretty much for any setup. Next are some other weapons I use, but not super frequently, except for the Defender. We also have proselyte armor down here, as well as just some other miscellaneous stuff. I'd still like to organize a bit better, like steel arrows shouldn't be there, but... And on the far right here we have ammunition, which I don't have a whole lot of it right now, but when I do get more, I'm just going to try to keep it in the line here on the right. Next up is tab number 2, which is the teleportation tab. Now I don't have a ton of teleport tabs, and I didn't really feel like there was a point of buying stuff just for placeholders right now. As I get them, I'll put them in here. So on the left I have all my teleportation tablets except for the two there on the front, which is Rock and Home Teleport. Now the jewelry I'm kind of torn between, like there's a couple ways to do this. Either you can put a placeholder for every charge. Now the problem with this is it can easily get fucked up somehow. Just the way the placeholder system works, but it's pretty easy and frequent that these actually will collapse and then your whole tab kind of gets messed up. The other way to do it is to just have a full tab, which would be your 8 charge, and a one that's in use, which will always go back into the same placeholder, and that's kind of the issue. I think I'm going to leave it like this for now. As long as you don't actually have a placeholder and you keep an item in every single slot, it should be fine. However, I have had issues with this. So we're going to start off with the Rings of Dueling, Slayer Rings. Next up we have Games Necklaces, and now we're moving on to the lesser charge one. We have Amulet of Glories, so we have 5 charges there. Rings of Wealth we have here. Next up we have Burning Amulets, which I do use fairly frequently. And a Necklace of Passage, which isn't used a lot, but does have a couple of useful charges on there. I really don't use combat bracelets, so I don't really see a point to have an entire kind of placeholder set just for combat bracelets. And Dig Site Pendant I do use occasionally, but it's not worth putting on the main page. Same thing for skill necklaces. Like I do have a couple here, so I chucked them in this tab, but really you just don't use them a lot. Okay, next up is my skilling tab. I've tried to put all of the equipment at the top, so like Rune Pickaxe, Rune Axe, and all the kind of things you need for fletching, crafting, and other stuff like that. And we have a bit of fishing gear at the side here. So since I didn't actually have any of these random gems to begin with, like I didn't have any opal, jade, or red topaz or any of that, I decided not to include it in here right now, but I may expand it later. But for now we just have sapphire, emerald, ruby, and diamond, and then there are uncut versions here. Next up we have logs. We don't have every single log, but we have kind of all the main logs. We try to keep it in line here, so we have logs, regular planks, oak logs, teak planks, mahogany logs, and mahogany planks, just to keep it nice visually. Next up we have all of the main ore. I think I am missing tin, I think, but just kind of look better like that, and like fuck, who's really making bronze bars anyway? Next up we have uncooked fish, so we have kind of lobsters, monkfish, tuna, and karambwans. And below we have a winemaking kit, so we have jugs of water, grapes, jugs of wine, and jugs of bad wine just as a placeholder. Now this bottom bit here I'd like to organize a bit better, but we have our rune crafting talismans, we have some nails for construction, and just kind of the miscellaneous stuff that didn't really fit in here. So we have dodgy necklaces for thieving, got some soft clay, flax and bowstrings here, we have our leathers, and then we just have some kind of fletching stuff at the bottom. So it's still a bit of a work in progress, but I do really like how the first bit of this turned out. Alright, this next tab I shamelessly stole from someone who posted on Reddit a while ago. I really liked the way it looked. I know functionally it's not that great, but really it doesn't matter to me too much. So I decided to keep things in a lateral kind of organization here. So we start off here with the grimy herb. Next up we have the clean herb. Then we have the seed that goes along with the herb. The secondary ingredient that goes into the potion that the herb makes. Next up we have the unfinished potion, and then the 3, 2, and 1 dose of that potion. So that's where all of the rest of my potions will be going as I drink them. I really like the way that works because you don't really need the 3 or 2 or 1 doses at all. And when I do end up wanting to do herblore, it'll be nice that everything is kind of organized based on the seed. I won't even have to go look up the secondary ingredients. So we have guam, pteromin, cadentine, arrot leaf, corm, renar, dwarfweed, and pretty much all the way down to torsel. I would have liked to maybe organize it based on the herb, maybe a little bit more sense, however, it just didn't happen. At the bottom here we have some miscellaneous potions that I really don't use a lot, and I didn't really want to put in the front page. We have like overloads, anti-venoms, well actually these are on the front page, sorry. We have magic potions, which are kind of shit. Compost potions, which really are only used for like one money making method. Super anti-poisons, we can kind of maybe use those, but I have an anti-poison on the front page anyway. So next up here we have a loot tab and just some of my miscellaneous Slayer equipment. This one doesn't really have a lot of organization to it because I'm just planning on putting loot in here as I get it. So there's not a lot in it right now, but we'll have to go kill something and maybe fill it out a bit. Next up I have a page of quest items for stuff I actually want to keep. So we're kind of slowly sorting through my quest items for stuff that I know I need for another quest or is just useful beyond the quest. So we have a bunch of clue scrolls up here I've had forever. I need to do a clue scroll, my god. We have all our defenders here, which really aren't used unless you lose your dragon defender, in which case it makes it quicker to get back. We have some diary armor, monkey grease, just like stuff that you might need or might want. Like at least this makes you turn into a monkey, that's kind of cool. We have like a ring of Kairos and ring of visibility and just stuff that has minor uses, as well as all our fossils that we need to turn in once we get more of them. Next up is the quest items that I'm still sorting through here. I'm not really sure which ones I need, but ideally I'm just going to get rid of this tab and move it into this one. as soon as I've kind of sorted through them all. It's kind of hard to know exactly what you need, and really it's not that big a deal to go get them again. It's just taking up a ton of bank space and creating a ton of clutter, so I may just completely delete this page, but I still want to do a little research and see if I can find some items that I will need down the road. And last up here is just a small tab which I'm using for my 100 account flipping series. It's just items I need to get 7 quest points on a brand new account. So you need goblin mail, you need some dyes, you need a pot of flour, an egg, a bucket of milk, and some clay. You will also need some copper ore and iron ore, but it just looks nicer there, so I decided to put it there. Anyway guys, that is it. What did you think of my bank? Do you have any suggestions for stuff I should do? Obviously, this isn't a rating of like my actual bank. It's not that good, and I don't have a lot of stuff. Obviously, I'm going to be adding to it as I get some new items, more teleports, more crafting stuff, etc. But I'm really happy with how it turns out, and it really just looks a lot nicer to kind of go through, and just everything's organized, everything's in a nice spot. And for me, it's going to work out quite well. So I'd recommend going and taking some time and organizing your bank if you haven't done it. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video.